Calling all misfits, rebels, leaders, and teachers, welcome to the one place where the only way to fit in is by standing out, where big goals are met with even bigger action, and where we talk through, then tackle all things entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Kelsey Knudsen, and this is the Get Shit Done podcast. Welcome to the Rebelution. You guys, I am so excited for this episode because we are celebrating quitting. You're like, Kelsey, what the heck do you mean? Today, I'm deep diving into 3 big no's I recently committed to, how I made this decision, what it's doing to change my life and business, and ultimately, yes, it was hard, but it was the right one. So we're going to talk about all 3. I'm going to dive into hell yes season only, simplification season, and all of that stuff. So let's get on into this conversation on how I said no. Okay, first things first, I'm just going to own it. This was freaking hard. Very, very hard. For those that don't know, I have been a part of so many different things. I have a passion and interest in really helping people. And sometimes that ends up, I don't want to say hurting me, but it leads to me overcommitting. And I hate even acknowledging it, but it's so freaking true. And if I'm the one who is overcommitting and I'm an 8 and I'm a Leo and I preach the get shit done stuff, I preach boundaries and I do all of those things pretty well, and I can fall victim and privy to it, there's no way I'm the only person. So ultimately, I recently quit a couple things, and I want to talk about how I made that decision first and foremost. I recently didn't commit to redoing a retreat, actually 2 of them. One of them, I technically am giving birth during that, so that decision was made for me. But even beyond that, I am just in a season where even though my ego may say yes, and even though I may have some amazing opportunities and people who I love and things that I believe in so wholeheartedly and want to help with, those things can be true. I can like these people. I can like what they're doing. I can want to help. I can be a good fit for helping, and it still can be the wrong time. And I didn't get that for a long time. Now I'm learning, and in the learning, I'm sharing with you. So first things first, co-host a retreat. It's something that we've done twice. This would have been our 3rd year. And a year ago on the actual retreat, I knew in my bones that no was going to be the right decision for 2025. And the biggest reason I used at that time, and now if I'm just being honest, is we're pregnant. And back then I knew we would be trying and wanting to, and I just didn't want the pressure. And I even said these own words, and I'm so bummed out in past Kelsey because I should have just been more honest about it. But at the time I was like, what if we get pregnant and then I have to cancel, and then now we have to communicate it's a different kind of retreat than what they signed up, and we might have to refund some people. What are they going to think? And if I'm honest, it was just the added mental stress of traveling abroad, being gone for 6 days, not knowing physically how I'm going to feel, knowing if it's going to work out, and all of those unknowns. And I was afraid of that. And instead of just saying that in the moment, I blamed it on everyone else. So to my past business partner, who I love, you're great. I'm so pumped and glad that you're continuing to carry the torch for this offer. I was scared. I was scared. I was entering unknown territory. Hell, I'm still in unknown territory. And ultimately, just thank you for giving me the grace to say no and blame it on a bullshit excuse. But owning my stuff today, I was scared. I didn't want to let people down. But deeper rooted than that, I am not in a place to collaborate on something like that right now. And I just want to say thank you for understanding that. So that's my first no. And here's what's crazy. Location, beautiful. Business partner, awesome. Finances, pretty good for being able to work in Mexico for 6 days. Attendees, next level, like the best people ever come to this thing. And I said no to all of that, and I walked away from all of it. And it was the right decision for me at this time of my life. The second thing I said no to is this commitment. For those that don't know, I'm really tied to my university. And I had this podcast I was hosting for them that I loved. I got to meet so many interesting people. I was so proud and honored to be a part of it. And it got to the point where people started to know and recognize me as the podcast host, which is such an honor. But what I realized, and this is my fault, I don't blame the organization. This is 100% on me. People have so tied me to the brand and the podcast that they don't even know who I am. And I can't tell you how discouraging it is to be in a room, to have each other's phone numbers, and they're talking about you and explaining you to someone else, and they literally don't understand what you do after years and years and years. And that is 100% on me. for not being more clear and concise and confident in those rooms, I hid behind this. I hid behind this title, this persona. And because of that, I am not working with the people in the room who I would love to work with. Maybe not all of them are a fit for what I can have to offer, but there are definitely people in that room who would benefit from my consulting services. And that is on me for not communicating that. And I recognized by hiding behind the podcast, it's done its job of getting me in the room. Now it's on me, Kelsey, to take advantage and leverage those connections in those rooms. And I need to take the training wheels off. I needed to take the training wheels off and own my shit and walk into those rooms and communicate what value I have, pitch myself to these people, confidently showcase the work that I can do that is beyond just talking. And ultimately, it meant saying no to that commitment, which was a paid gig, which is with people I really, really respect and love and enjoy as human beings. Part of a university I'm really proud of, and so many amazing once in a lifetime opportunities I got to experience because of that podcast. And I still said no. And then the third no was stepping away from a board that I was asked to be a part of. And I don't want to get into the politics of it all because transparently there are some involved in this situation. But the short of it is this: I went into helping this organization and joining the board because I believe in what they're doing and the need for it and the people behind it. And I wanted to help. And I hit a lot of people who were super supportive and believed in my ability to help. And a lot of people who, back to what I was just saying, don't understand me and what I do and maybe my way of doing it and some other things too. And ultimately, just so much resistance over and over. And I kept fighting it. I kept being like, maybe if I position it this way, or if I restructure my business to create more time and space over here, or if I re-put the offer this way, or if I call and follow up with this person. And I found myself just trying to shove myself into this perfect box for them that I lost who I am. I got to a point, you guys, I can't believe I'm even saying this out loud. This is crazy. I got to a point where I almost closed my business for this short-term potential opportunity. All because it would have looked good on a resume and I would have met some cool people along the way and had some beautiful experiences and probably would have been able to help them. And that's crazy. And so not only did it get to a point where I realized the help I wanted to give in the way I was able to wasn't going to go forward, I fully stepped away from the organization as a whole. And if you know who I'm talking about, please be respectful to them because it's not that I wish them any ill will. It's not that at all. It's just really checking myself. And I think sometimes we have good opportunities, so we just jump on them. And then they sound good, they feel good, and all of a sudden we're resentful. And we're like, why did I add that to my plate? When we're the ones who actively made that choice and put the effort into that thing. And every time we're putting effort into these lukewarm yeses that are kind of, sort of, mostly good, it's taking away from opportunities of other things that could be in better alignment. And I was robbing myself of really living a full, authentic, aligned life. So I really took some time to think about all of this, and I quit all of those things. I got asked to be on another board, and I said no, even though in a different time of my life, I would love to be on this board and help them, and it's a better fit and all of this stuff. Ultimately, just because something sounds good, just because it's a good opportunity, just because all your friends and family and colleagues think you should do it, just because you have the skill sets to help the situation doesn't mean you should say yes to something. And I don't know about you, but I am tired of saying yes to things out of obligation or my ego playing this trickery to myself and convincing myself that I need to do these things to better position myself for the future. So I'm just cutting back. And if I'm in this season, if I'm having these ahas, if I'm auditing my life and business and looking at it from this vantage point and making these changes, odds are some of this will resonate with where you're at too. Because I think as women especially, we can overcommit. All of a sudden we're doing things that are not supposed to be on our plate. It's scope creep, like when you propose your services to a potential client and they say yes, and all of a sudden now you're doing all these other things that you would have never said yes to in the first place, but we allow it. And I think the message here today is that you're allowing it. By not saying no, you are allowing this to be your reality in your life. And sometimes that sucks to acknowledge. But ultimately, saying no to these things on paper seems crazy. To my friends, they thought I was nuts. to my partner, transparently, I think he was a little disappointed. And ultimately, it's been the best gift for myself in this season that I'm currently in, because the reality is my life is about to drastically change this summer. And beyond that, even if that wasn't happening, I deserve to be in roles and rooms and respected and confident and living out my true, authentic purpose in a way that helps people where they want me to be there, and I want to be there, and it's a mutual hell yes. And so I'm just in a season of attracting my hell yeses and really being mindful of what those lukewarm, maybe kind of sort of things that I just allow to creep on. I am cutting that out of my life. And it's really come down to 3 things that matter to me when it comes to business. When it comes to business, this podcast, the Get Shit Done podcast, is such a special place. It has been a lifesaver for me. It has kept me going on the days where it's hard to show up for anything else. I feel like I can't let you down. So you force me to get up and show up when it's hard sometimes. And I just love the community that has happened because of this podcast. Number 2 is my coaching. I am so crystal clear on what I am doing this year. Part of it is retreats and masterminding combined together for a very specific niche group. Part of it is a course that's coming out to help more people like you who maybe don't have thousands to invest, but need a little bit of support to get your house in order for business. And I'm so excited and fired up about that. And I have the capacity and the space and the energy and the desire to focus deeply on doing that and doing it well. And then the third area is my in-person community. I run an in-person community in the Puyallup, Washington area with Michelle and Taryn, my 2 best business besties. And we're opened a physical co-working space, a home for our community to meet and connect and collaborate. And I just think that there's going to be so many cool things that come from that decision that we're not even aware of yet. But all of the no's have created the capacity to execute on all 3 of those things and continue to improve it and make it better. So to wrap today, I want to challenge you. I want you to really think and audit your life and ask yourself, are you saying yes to things that should actually be a no? And though it may be awkward or painful or uncomfortable to dish out the no today, what are you avoiding or putting off or preventing yourself from experiencing by doing that, by saying yes to the wrong things and by being afraid to say no to certain things? You're robbing yourself of opportunities you're maybe not even aware of. And I know if I was doing it, you were probably doing it too. So I hope you close out this episode by doing one thing. I want you to just audit, just look through what offers are no longer a yes, what coworkers, what leaders, what team members are no longer a hell yes, that you are tolerating, that it's easier to put up with little nuances and the frustrations and the idiosyncrasies that they have. It's easier to tolerate the awkwardness and uncomfortability now because you understand it versus saying, hey, this person is not going to get me to that next level. They are not a hell yes for tomorrow. Then why aren't you addressing that today? When it comes to our habits and how we live our life and the choices we make, because all of this is just a series of choices. When it comes to all of those things, what things do you need to say no to more often? Maybe it's less friend time, less fun time, because it's robbing you of pouring into your business to get it to that next place it needs to be. Maybe it's the TV shows we're watching or the books we're reading that are entertaining and fun, but by saying yes to those moments of distraction, it's preventing us from chasing our bigger future goals. All of this stems from the ability to make decisions and recognizing that we're the ones making these decisions. We are calling the shots here. And some of us are calling the wrong shots. So I would love to hear from you. And I'd love to know, as you're asking these deeper questions, what do you need to say no to? What is that? Send it to me on Instagram. I'll be hanging out over there. Kelsey Marie Knudsen is my Instagram. And I would love to honestly hear from you. What do you need to say no to? And by saying no, what do you think you're going to create space for? Or what will you divert that extra time, energy, resources to? Because I think a hell yes era for 2025 sounds pretty freaking sweet to me. So that's what I have for you this week. Thank you for hanging out, and we'll catch you next week. Hey, thanks for being a part of the Get Shit Done Revolution. My hope is this episode sparked a fire in you, equipped you with some practical next steps, or inspired you to take action towards your goals. If it did, please help spread the word by sharing this episode or leaving a review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you're tuning in. Now it's time for me to hand over the keys and let you get shit done.